You know, when you really want to get under the skin of a complex topic, get past the headlines. That's what we try to do here.
Right.
And today, we're tackling Germany's big ambition to become an AI nation. I'm sure you've heard the term floating around.
Yeah, it's definitely out there. And the sources you shared are great for this. We've got some official government text outlining the strategy,
Right.
and then this other piece, more analytical,
Yeah.
asking some, let's say, point-pull questions about it all.
Exactly. So our mission for you listening is to unpack this KI nation idea, KI, of course, being German for AI.
Yeah.
We want to figure out what Germany's actually aiming for, what's driving them, and what the big debates are. Okay.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
So what's the absolute core ambition here, the main goal?
Well, the government, in their coalition agreement, they've stated it pretty clearly.
Hmm.
Make Germany a leading global location for developing and using AI.
Okay. Leading global location. Sounds big.
It is.
Yeah.
And they're not just using vague language. They mention creating a super-high-tech-ministerium, a sort of super ministry for high-tech,
Wow.
and launching a real technology attack, their words.
A technology attack. That sounds intense. What does that actually mean, practically speaking?
Well, a part of that involves attracting and setting up gigafactories.
Gigafactories. Like for batteries. Or something else.
Here it seems to me more like large-scale hubs for AI. Think research, development, application, maybe big computing centers, attracting talent. It's not just manufacturing.
Ah, okay. So big centers for AI innovation.
Exactly. It signals a really focused investment push to boost their tech position, specifically in AI.
Got it. So building an ecosystem, not just doing research. Beyond that big goal, what are the sort of key pillars holding this strategy up?
Right. There are a few main parts. First, as we said, just straight up technological advancement, making Germany stronger technologically in AI.
Makes sense.
Second is about improved framework conditions. This means they're planning a more open approach to using data for training AI.
Data is crucial for AI, right? But isn't that complicated with privacy rules and...
It is. And interestingly, they also say they want to make sure creators, artists, and so on get fair compensation when their work is used in this data.
Okay, so trying to balance opening up data with protecting creators, that's, a tricky line to walk.
Definitely. And, it's worth remembering this whole KI Nation thing isn't brand new. It builds on their national AI strategy from back in 2018.
Ah, okay, so it's an evolution.
Yeah, the goal has been there. Stay globally competitive.
Yeah.
But this feels like an acceleration.
Which brings us to maybe the third pillar. The sources really hammered home the shift in priority.
Oh, absolutely. The increased prioritization is stark. Look at the numbers. The current coalition agreement mentions AI 27 times.
27, okay.
Compare that to the previous agreement, just back in 2021.
And-
AI was mentioned 5 times.
Wow, 5 to 27. That's a huge jump. What happened? I mean, the sources suggest a pretty clear reason. ChatGPT and tools like it.
That seems to be the major catalyst, yes. The sheer speed and capability we've seen recently appear to have really, lit a fire into them, made AI much more central to the whole political and economic discussion.
Right, it became undeniable. Okay, what else? Is there an ethical dimension?
Yes, definitely. The fourth pillar is ethical and societal alignment.
Always important with AI. How are they approaching it?
The strategy stresses that AI has to serve people's well-being and fit with democratic values. The OECD review mentioned this too, handling the tech, geopolitical, economic challenges responsibly.
And what about things like military AI?
Interestingly, the sources point out that military uses are being handled separately in places like UNESCO and the UN. So there seems to be a deliberate separation of the national strategy between civilian and military AI.
Okay, so we've got the big ambition, the tech push, better data rules, this heightened priority, and an ethical framework. Seems comprehensive, but what's really driving all this? The underlying why?
I think the sources point quite strongly to global competition. Simple as that, almost.
Just keeping up. Or getting ahead.
Both, probably. There's this sense that Germany needs to keep its economic power, its relevance, as technology changes so fast everywhere else. It's about securing their spot in the future economy, not falling behind.
Right. Future-proofing the nation, basically. Okay, now let's switch gears a bit to that second source, the more analytical one. It starts asking some harder questions, doesn't it?
It does. It moves from the what to the how, and is this feasible? It digs into things like funding, for instance.
Ah, the money. Always the question.
Exactly. How's all this R&D getting paid for? Is it coming via the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs, for example? How will they actually support Companies trying to use AI,
Yeah.
in key industries like energy or cars,
And the infrastructure needed.
especially data.
Yeah, the whole idea of building open data initiatives, that's massive. Plus, they want to be a global leader while sticking to EU rules, like the AI Act that came out in 2024.
Right, the AI Act puts rules on high-risk systems, adds complexity. It does. And the analysis also brings up these regional hubs like Baden-Württemberg or Berlin potentially leading the charge. But then it asks, kind of bluntly,
Yeah.
is KI-Nation mainly just good marketing? A brand? Or is there real substance? What if others just move faster anyway?
That's a sharp point. A good slogan only gets you so far. What about conflicts? Things pulling in opposite directions within the strategy.
The analysis flags a few potential tension points. First, data privacy GDPR versus the need for tons of data for good AI. That's a built-in friction.
The classic dilemma.
Then there's algorithm transparency. How open will these systems be? Is the priority speed or making sure we understand how they work and can hold them accountable?
And back to the money. How do they fund it all?
Right. Is it taxpayer money? Shifting funds from elsewhere? Taking on more debt? That whole economic model needs clarity. Big unanswered questions there.
The analysis also suggested some things might be getting missed, some blind spots in this big push. What were they?
Yeah, a few important ones. One was maybe not enough focus on international cooperation beyond the EU. How does Germany plan to work with or compete with, say, China or the US?
Good point. AI is global.
Another huge one, energy. These big AI models and supercomputers, they use a lot of electricity.
Oh, yeah. And Germany's energy situation is already complex.
Exactly. That adds a massive practical challenge. And finally, the digital skills gap, the education side.
You can't be an AI nation if people don't know how to use the tools, right?
Precisely. How do you bring the whole population along? If there's a fundamental lack of digital literacy, that really hinders things.
Those are some serious potential roadblocks. The analysis then sketched out a few different ways Germany's AI future could go, different paths.
Yeah, it laid out some possibilities, like maybe German AI focuses more on emotional applications,
Yeah.
healthcare, elder care, that kind of thing, more personalized support.
Interesting.
Or maybe AI becomes the engine for a new export boom, the next made in Germany success story, but for AI, like the car industry, but digital. KI made in Germany.
A new economic pillar.
Could be, but it also floated a more fundamental question. Does Germany really want this?
Yeah.
To go all in on being an AI nation, considering all the societal changes it implies?
It forces you to think about the end goal, doesn't it? Which leads right into that final big question the analysis posed, the one for all of us, really.
Exactly. The core question left hanging is, who benefits most here? Is this whole KI-Nation project mainly for the German state, Deutschland itself, its power, its standing? Or is it genuinely about improving the lives and well-being of the German people? And it even uses that word, malware. Is there potential malware hiding in this system? Unintended negative consequences we need to watch out for.
Wow. Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground from these sources. What are the main takeaways?
Okay, summarizing. Germany clearly has this big stated goal. Become a top AI nation.
Right, ambition.
Yeah, and there's a strategy behind it. Yeah, boost the tech, change the rules around data, make it a higher priority, and do it ethically. And it's all driven by this feeling of urgency, seeing how fast AI is moving globally.
But as we've discussed, it's not straightforward.
Not at all. There are real complexities. Balancing innovation with rules and ethics, finding the money, building the infrastructure, dealing with those potential conflicts and blind spots we talked about. Lots of unanswered questions.
So it leaves us, and you listening, with this final thought to chew on. Is becoming an AI nation mainly about national strategy, about staying competitive economically on the world stage?
Or is the main goal truly centered on what its citizens need and want in this coming age of AI? Think about all those different angles we explored, the ambitions, the hurdles, the potential paths. It's worth forming your own view on what this huge German AI push really means.